I'm coming at you live on tape from Sydney, Ohio. And today we're talking about Eugene, the retarded wrestler in WWE. I mean, he wrestled in other companies later, independent companies later as Eugene. But WWE is where he started. Nick Dinsmore started his career in All-Star Wrestling. Later went to WCW for a time in 98 and 99, wrestled 4 matches. Wrestled some matches in 99 in WWE, losing all those matches. Then went to OVW where he held the world title 8 times. Held the Southern heavyweight title 8 times. Held the Southern tag team titles with Rob Conway, a record 10 times. And then in 2004, he debuted as Eugene. Eugene was based off of the head writer of OVW, Rip Rogers' autistic son, and he wanted a character like his autistic son on TV. And Nick Dinsmore based it off. Nick Dinsmore based the character off his autistic son and off Dustin Hoffman's Rain Man. The character came off more like he had Down syndrome than he had autism or he was Rain Man. And the character was a special wrestler who was a wrestling savant because he watched his favorite wrestlers on TV growing up. Needless to say, his moveset was mostly stolen moves from wrestlers in the Attitude Era, though he did use some moves from wrestlers from before the Attitude Era, but mostly wrestlers from the Attitude Era he used the moves from. He debuted as Eric Bischoff's special nephew, who was overly enthusiastic, and Bischoff put him with William Regal, who was not enthusiastic about this, but they eventually became friends. Now, Eugene's first major feud was with Jonathan Coachman, who tried to run him out of WWE but was stopped by The Rock, and they had a match at a pay-per-view, and Eugene won. Then he went on to feud with Triple H. He lost his match at SummerSlam Triple H, but then he fought Triple H in a no disqualification match and won thanks to Randy Orton, and then lost a match to Triple H in a steel cage where he got storyline injured and came back after a few weeks. Then he had his only title win as Eugene. Him and William Regal won the World Tag Team titles. And this is when we got the famous promo from Eugene where he covers Maria in chocolate milk. I highly recommend watching this promo. If you didn't think Maria could get any hotter, she gets hotter covered in chocolate milk. He lost that title. That was in November when he won the title. He gets injured in January and has to take time off. And William Regal goes on to lose that title, defending it with Jonathan Coachman as his partner. And when Eugene comes back, he has a brief singles run before teaming with Tajiri, who was also at one time partner with William Regal. And then he goes on to Raw's B Show, Heat, before eventually going to SmackDown. Before eventually having a feud with Umaga. And when he faced Umaga, it was from punishment from Vince McMahon, who he spilled a drink on, and then Vince McMahon shaved his head. Now, then he went to SmackDown and debuted a superhero-esque character, fought in a battle royal for the world title, but was eliminated. Did a bunch of other matches. He turned heel at one point, but quickly turned back face because how you do a retarded wrestler as a heel, I have no idea. It really didn't work if I remember right, but I always hated the guy, so I booed him anyways. And he was a comedy character for the kids. That's how Nick Dinsmore describes it when they called him into the office to give him the character. Was they wanted a comedy character for the kids. So then he was released in 2006. He went on to Juggalo Championship Wrestling, where he feud with Jailbird Man, and he teamed with Zach Gallen and captured tag team titles. He'd go back to OVW for a time, where he'd win the Southern Heavyweight Championship 2 more times, holding it a record 10 times as Nick Dinsmore. He would briefly go back to WWE twice, before both times being released, only briefly. He would go on to wrestle in India for TNA's Raka King as Dr. Nicholas Dinsmore. He'd go on Hulk Hogan's Australian, Hulkamania Lives Again, Hulkamania Rolls Again, or whatever that was called. His Hulk Hogan's Australian tour as Capital U/Gene. That's mainly what he wrestled on as the Independence, was Capital U/Gene. Because, he couldn't use the name Eugene spelled out like an actual name. But it was basically the same character. Before he'd wrestle on several other independent promotions, before eventually founding his own promotion, Midwest Wrestling in South Dakota, in 2015. And he would retire in 2021, selling his promotion and retiring. He had a good career. He also got married in 2015, probably why he wanted to stay home more. As far as I know, he has no kids, but he might have 20 fucking kids by now. I mean, who knows? It's been 10 years. Could have had twins for 10 years and have 20 kids. I don't know. But he was a comedy character who was supposed to be special. I mean, and he came off as he had Down syndrome. According to Nick Dinsmore, the character would work again today because it wasn't insulting anybody. There was always people picked on Eugene, and then Eugene beat them up. And then Eugene, kind of got the upper hand because he was such a wrestling savant. I don't think it would work today. I think people would have problems with a normal person playing a retarded person. But that's just me. That's just how I think people would have a problem with that. He was only in one SmackDown game, and that was SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. I think I played as him once, and then the rest of the time I just beat the crap out of him. I hated the guy. I thought he was silly and stupid. That's about it for Eugene. He was more flash in the pan than anything else. Yeah, at the first Taboo Tuesday, where fans voted on stipulations for matches, he had a match with Eric Bischoff, who was supposedly his uncle, and the fans voted on loser gets head shaved. He beat Eric Bischoff, and Eric Bischoff got his head shaved. I forgot about that. But other than that, he was just a comedy gimmick. He had a good career, though. So that's it for Eugene. Join me next week, and we will talk about the time the Ninja Turtles wrestled in WWE.